radio dispatch. Do you know who this is?
No, who is this is?
Hi, I'm Jimmy with TNN Radio, KX 93.5 and KINGROCK Photo. We're here at the world-famous Yost Theater in Santa Ana, California, and tonight we're kicking it with Face to Face and Voodoo Glow Skulls. So we're here at the Yost Theater with Voodoo Glow Skulls, guys, and this is the most common question that I get, and I asked you guys this before, but we're going to put it on film finally. Who wants to tell us how you guys originally came up with that name, Voodoo Glow Skulls?
Yeah. The name Voodoo Glow Skulls came from a friend of ours, Fred J.R. Thompson. Old high school buddy, you know, et cetera, old childhood friend. He came home from Disneyland one day, and came straight to our rehearsal, and we were like an unnamed band at that point. We were just rehearsing in my bedroom at my parents' house. I was like 18 years old, I want to say, and we didn't have a name yet, and we were doing the whole conversation like after band practice in the backyard, like what are we gonna call ourselves, type of thing. And he said, you should call yourselves Voodoo Glow Skulls. And he had come home with a glow in the dark necklace that you could buy at the Pirates of the Caribbean store back in the day, like the little gift shop. And it was a Voodoo Glow Skull, it was called a Voodoo Glow Skull, singular, in a little like a Hot Wheels package type of thing, with a little plastic and a little cardboard. And it just said Voodoo Glow Skull, creepy, scary, you know, that kind of thing. And it was a little glow in the dark, little like a porcelain type skull, with that little clay material or something. Yeah. And you used to be able to buy those little white skulls with like a black necklace, like a little choker type thing. And we decided it sounded cool. It sounded like kind of a little bit ambiguous. I think that's the word. Like you couldn't really tell what it was. It was it was kind of heavy metal. Could be psychedelic. Could be ska. Could be funky. Yeah. Because right back then we were kind of playing punk funk, sort of like the whole Chili Peppers and like Fishbone and Jeans Addiction.
Nappy, happy, funka slappy, ska core band.
We had all these little slogans we used to come up with before Voodoo, we do. Those are all fan-made little things that some kid at a backyard party went, Voodoo, we do, and then we just used it. But before it was a nappy, funk, what is it?
Nappy, happy, funka slappy, ska core band.
So that will never be on a t-shirt.
Next song, that's going to be on the next album. That song right there.
No. Yeah, anyways, that's what the name came from, a little necklace from Disneyland, which is kind of appropriate. You know, we're a Southern California band. The name, like I said, you can't really pinpoint it. When you see Voodoo Glow Skulls on a flyer, on a record, it's like, what is that? Is it metal? Is it psychedelia? Is it funk? Ska? You know, it could be anything. Sure. That's perfect for the band. So.
Next question. This is like the second most asked question. And this goes to Frank. Mil Máscaras, man. Where did you get the idea to wear the mask when you first came out?
It's just Mexican culture, pop culture type stuff. You know, it's growing up a kid in LA. We'd watch Lucha Libre, and we would wrestle each other on my mom and dad's bed as kids, and it just kind of goes with the whole vibe of our band. You know, representing that whole culture.
Did you guys go do the Olympic Auditorium back in the day?
My dad used to go there a lot. We never went. We used to just watch it on TV all the time. You know.
It just kind of came, like Frank said, it just kind of came to the territory, and no bands have really done it so much then. Like now you see it more and more. Sure. There's so many ska bands and punk bands. Sure. But we used it, you know. Frank was ready. Frank just thought about it. I was like, well, it's a Mexican American band. You know, that's like an iconic thing that you see, especially when you're in Mexico. That's like that's a sport. You know? So we just used it.
It's a gimmick, man. You know, masks are creepy. People get creeped
are
out.
intrigued a little bit, maybe, and you know, it's something to use on stage. It's all showbiz. You know, there's no real crazy backstory to it. It just goes with like Latin American culture. You know, like
in Dallas,
Mexican culture.
In Dallas, a lady came up to me and said, "Hey, all my friends know that I am deathly afraid of people who wear masks. She's like, I cannot be around. She's like, went to a Slipknot concert and couldn't look at the band. I was freaking out the whole time. She's like, it's a weird phobia. She's like, you are the only person that doesn't bother me wearing a mask. So she asked me if I could get my mask and take a picture with her.
That just happened, huh?
To prove it to her friend. Yeah,
It just happened on this last tour. Like
so I took the mask.
ago.
I came out with 2 masks. I made her wear one too. So.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But anyways, you know, it's masks, man.
What led you guys to want to play something called skacore, and what is exactly skacore? You know, you guys chime in, tell us what it is.
Well, I think we just kind of fell into it, and not like we planned our route a little bit, and wrote our music, and it was calculated somewhat, of course. But you never know where you're gonna end up, like what your sound is gonna be when you're a new band.
Sure.
We were influenced by like Fishbone a lot, which is definitely some skacore in there somewhere. But they're not the most. I mean, they got pretty heavy for a minute, but. We just kind of came up with it slowly. We fell into it by we were influenced by the Boss Tones somewhat, but we were kind of doing it at the same time.
Our first,
I never really heard of the Boss Tones until way into
our first demo.
We were more of a punk band with horns when we started.
Sure.
We didn't really consider ourselves a ska band. We didn't really get that label tagged to us until the third generation thing kind of hit.
Sure.
And then we automatically got thrown into it.
The third wave.
Yeah.
Before that, we played ska shows and we'd get told by the other ska bands that we were ruining their scene.
Yeah, we got notes.
That's why we would play with bands like Guttermouth and Face to Face and punk bands, because
we fit in.
To the punk crowd, we were just a punk band with horns. To the ska crowd, we were ruining their scene. So to us, it was like, well, let's play with the punk band.
Yeah, it was kind of like a thorn in the side of the ska scene, but this just comes from our experiences. I mean, we would go to places like Tucson. Like one of, a good memory or bad, I guess, is one of the first times we went to Tucson. We had a note written on our van, and our van got tagged with lipstick. A whole white Ford passenger van got tagged with lipstick, and we had a note that said, "You're ruining the ska scene," and blah blah blah. This whole tirade. So that's the kind of shit that we got once in a while. So we would get some flack. So then you get a chip on your shoulder, going, well. F them, we're gonna do what we want, and we're gonna make it heavier, and we're gonna keep the horns, and we're gonna just make it crazier, and we're gonna still play the kind of ska influence that we want. Because F them, we still love ska too.
Yeah, a lot of the ska fans didn't get it back then because no one had really done that, so.
So it took a while.
Yeah, it took a while. Like it didn't come until the later years when other bands started doing more of that style, to where we started having other bands to play with that were more in the same genre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before that, like I said, it was just mostly punk shows for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this. You guys tour all over the world. You guys are one of the bands that are influencing young bands right now, that are going into different directions. One of the areas that I have seen grown by leaps and bounds is a place that you guys just came from, Latin America, South America, Central Mexico. Man, the music down there is just blowing up for, traditional, what you would call third wave style, but skacore too.
Sure.
What do you guys see when you're out there? What are some of your favorite places to go play now, since you guys are playing just about everywhere on the planet?
Well, that's one of them. First of all, let me start. I know it's new to some people, like the third wave, like the Real Big Fishes, the Less Than Jakes, the Boss Tones of the world have all gone there for the first time, like in the last year. We've been going since '96. So I keep on hearing like, oh, ska's popping off in Mexico right now, blah, 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 it's a new thing. But it's not new. It's been, we've been going for exactly 20 years. And 20 years ago, we had successful shows playing in front of a couple thousand people. So, ska's always been just, I think, more respected and more in the forefront, if anything, in South America and in Europe. Whereas here, I think it just, I don't know if we're kind of far removed from like the whole British and the Jamaican thing.
Yeah.
So I think here it was more of a like a novelty. Came with like the third, the like two-tone wave was the first thing, and that kind of got brushed away as a thing that was around for 2-3 years. You had some hit songs and and some hit albums, of course. But it's always been a thing in Europe, and it's always been a thing in Mexico and Latin America. bands like Mano Negra in France and Spain and stuff like that were like the Oingo Boingo of Europe, and that's where that's where Manu Chao came from, and he's a big star now. But he came from like an Oingo Boingo kind of type of band that was around then, and then ska, like in Mexico, they've always had ska. They've always it's always been kind of
popular. And all these bands that have been around.
Have been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
So when we went there in '96, we did a tour, and it was with Sectacor, Panteón Rococo, and Maldita Vecindad. Those are all giant bands still now, and they've been doing it the whole time. And they've been doing ska punk, ska core. Those bands all kind of are all they all represent each type of ska. There's like a more zoot-sooty kind of like Latin ska thing going on. There's like the ska core thing, like Secta Core, singing about cartels and about the ghetto shit you don't want to know about Mexico City. Like they come from the hood.
Sure.
So they're singing like for the people, And then there's like Panteón Rococo, who's like the more third wavy, kind of poppy Latin ska band. So and those bands have been doing it since we first went. And that was in '96. So it isn't really like a new thing. But I think what it is like the American bands
are
finally starting to figure out that they can go there and they'll draw a couple thousand people or more.
And you have legit shows down there, right?
Yeah, we just played in front of 20,000 people last weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many. It was a few years ago. We were on tour with the Toasters around Talon Bucket. You need to go to Mexico, dude. Just take a chance, take a cut and pay, whatever. Just go to Mexico.
Yeah.
And then we just saw the Toasters play in front of 5,000 people one night, and like in front of 20,000 people.
So they've been going. He loves going there, because ska's well accepted there. Especially American bands. People eat it up. The kids who don't get to see them as often. So
Sure.
It's a new thing for those bands for sure.
Sure. Well, last two questions. You guys are playing with Face to Face tonight. Funniest thing, we spent 20 minutes with Trevor at Rite Aid so we can get hangers for their merch booth. How'd you guys get hooked up? Because he was telling me that you guys have played together and you guys have a past. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, we have a past. We were some of our first gigs were with Face to Face. Back in the day when they were they used to have long hair. They had hair down to their ass. All three of them, which is not the original anymore. It's just Trevor now. But with the original Face to Face were called Victoria Manor, and they were a metal band, like an Iron Maiden influenced metal band. And then I don't know, you'd have to ask them about the crossover, but they crossed over into like the kind of pop punk thing.
Sure.
But when we first started playing with them, a couple of them still had long hair, like the drummer and the bassist. And it was just a new band from Victorville that was playing at Spanky's Cafe in Riverside with us and with Guttermouth, and we all were on the same record label, Dr. Strange Records, around '91. We all got signed at the same time, and we all put out our first LPs at pretty much the same year, like the Face to Face. The first Guttermouth and the first Voodoo came out at the same time, like '92 to '94-ish, around that time.
Yeah.
And some of our first shows were with those guys.
Right on.
The first handful of shows.
Right on.
They've always been really good, man. That's always been solid.
Yeah, you could tell right off the bat that Face to Face was going to be a thing with those first initial shows. So like, they got the songs, hooks, tight.
Well, I will tell you, man, I've talked to Trevor several times now. We've done many interviews with him, and he always brings you guys up, and he thinks the world of you guys. So, I think tonight is going to be a great show for you.
Thank you very much, man.
Last question, man. What's next for Voodoo Glow Skulls?
Finish your album, buddy.
We have a record. We signed a little deal with Stomp Records out of Canada, which is probably the best place for us to be right now because it's a pretty strong scene right now in Canada, especially like the East Coast part. So we signed a deal with a French-Canadian label that's been around forever, but they seem to be doing the work, and they're excited the most about the band, which is the best place you want to be.
Sure.
It's where a record label's willing to work for you and promote your band. So we're working on our record. We've been working on it for a couple of years, but it's hopefully finally going to be turned in by the end of the year or early next year. So a new record. We're about to do a tour in January. Well, not about to. In a couple months, we're doing a tour with Porkers from Australia. It's an old friends of ours who've really not been to the U.S. that much. Maybe they've been to once before. But we're taking the Porkers and we're going out with Buck 09, which Dan, our current trombone player, is the original Buck 09 trombone player. So we're gonna go out with them and do a three-way ska punk tour across the Pacific Northwest and the South and the West Coast, and that's going on. And then after that, we're going to Canada after the record comes out.
All right, let's check out Voodoo Glow Skulls on stage right now at the Yost. Cool.
We're sitting here at the Yost Theater, ready to get the face-to-face show going with Voodoo Glow Skulls, Death by Stereo, Toxic Energy. Got Billy Skelly behind the lens right here, and really wanted to say thanks to Jimmy Alvarez and TNN Radio for all the support. You guys are always awesome to us, and love you. Thank you. Vanessa says hi, and anytime you guys need a fill-in interview, call me.